Hello there, my name is Hocus and welcome back to another episode in the Minecraft Let's Play series. This is episode 27 and just recently we've been doing a lot of messing around with bees. In episode 26 we did a bit of experimentation, you can see that behind me right now. I'm hoping to expand upon that today. But first of all, let me just say thank you for tuning in. If you do enjoy today's video, please consider dropping a like. And of course, if you're new here, then first of all, welcome. My name is Hocus. Make sure to consider hitting that subscribe button if you like what you see today. That will allow you to stay tuned to this series and any other videos that we decide to post. But before we dive into the bee-related shenanigans, let me just quickly bring you up to date on the village. So I decided to actually tear down the majority of the wall. And what I've got going here is just a circle. So I can't exactly remember the radius of the circle. It was something like 22 blocks, so around 45 blocks in diameter. And that's where we're going to begin the village. I will eventually expand it this way, but I'm just trying to figure out what to do. I'm also thinking that maybe we'll get a secondary circle going somewhere in this region and connect them up somehow. But a lot of you guys, I think, agreed with me when I said that the shape of the village just wasn't looking too, you know, a little bit R-rated, maybe, and also very messy. So we're going to stick with this for now and see what we can do as we progress and expand. And now right back to the bee action. So today, I think, is going to be the start of one of the true mega projects for this world. We are going to be building a honeycomb farm. It's going to do both. We're going to be building a huge bee farm that is hopefully going to pump out resources at an extraordinary rate. Or at least I hope so. I mean, I've got basic plans for this. I haven't planned the entire thing out, so I'm hoping it turns out you know, in a decent enough way. So first of all, let's survey some areas and pick out a location. I need a slightly flat location that's got a lot of clear and free land. So I'm thinking that this plains behind me here might be a good option. And the plains in question looks something like this. So it will most likely expand towards the savanna biome slightly, but I think that'll be okay because the colors that I have planned on using, I think will fit the theme very well. And if needs be, it can even progress out here. And around the back here, there's a lot of space to work with. Now, as I say, I haven't planned this entire thing out, but I'm really thinking it's going to be around that big. You know, I want to make it take up an awful lot of land, and we want this farm to produce an awful lot of goods. So for that reason, it is going to be a quite spacious build. And then the other piece of land I was thinking of was this one here, so it kind of expands around the village. The only issue I might have with that is that the village, I don't really want that to intersect with this farm at all because I've got plans to build around the village. So I'm thinking that maybe the best place to start, actually, you know what, this area here looks pretty good as well. Let me just land because this is very, very flat and that's exactly what we're looking for. So maybe we could actually start here and expand outwards. So we'll begin right here and then progress outwards maybe. I think that could work, you know, I think that could work. Alright, had to bring my friend the Haste 2 beacon over because we have been doing a lot of digging and let me tell you, it wasn't easy once we got down to the stone, but with this guy, things are going to improve at a much faster rate. So this is going to be the prototype here, the very first module of the, well, I guess I don't have a name for it just yet, but we're going to have a bunch of these hexagons and they're going to combine to make up our bee farm, which is going to produce both honey bottles and honeycomb. Firstly, though, I think we're going to have to kick it off with honeycomb because we're going to need a lot of hives. So I'm guessing that we begin with the honeycomb and then expand into honey bottles later. But this is the main idea. So what we'll have inside of here is a row on each side of hives that contain each 3 bees, I'm hoping, as long as we can breed up enough. And then they will be rigged up in those automatic circuits that we've worked on to just harvest themselves over time, and then there will be a trigger to release a minecart which will collect everything and I hope deposit it in a central location. But unfortunately for us, I guess, because this is going to require a lot of mining at the moment, I think the material of choice here is going to be terracotta. So I guess what we need to do is probably gather up enough resources for another one of these guys, and let's locate ourselves a mesa biome. Fortunately for us, we actually grabbed 2 beacons when we got our very first one, so that is easy enough to come by. And then for the base this time, I'm going to go mainly with gold, but I believe that it requires 2 stacks and 36. So if we get rid of 11 from this stack, we can just use a bit of iron in there as well, and that should make up the remainder of what's required. Oh boy, so the closest Badlands biome, and I must correct myself, it is now Badlands, not Mesa, is around 8,000 blocks away. So I'm thinking the best move here is to actually come out into the Nether and create a portal. So this is my best guess right here, 1147, -370. I think this should take us just beside the biome, if I'm thinking correctly. But the only way we can find out is by just popping the portal down and going through it, I guess. So let's see where it brings us out. And I'm hoping it brings us out of that Badlands biome, because I am desperate for terracotta for this build. So here we go. The moment of truth. Cross your fingers, guys. Here we go. And yes, nice. And we also did the subspace bubble advancement, which is awesome. So this seems like as good a place as any to set up camp and get working on some digging. So what I'm going to do is get the... Actually, you know what? Is it a good idea? Because I'm looking for yellow, right? So we can find somewhere where yellow looks a little bit more common. That might be more ideal. But the main thing is here is just to make sure I don't lose the portal. Because if that happens, then bad things are definitely coming my way. Because if you take a look right now, we're about 9,000 blocks out on the X and almost 3,000 blocks out on the Z. So we've got to be pretty careful. Doing a lot better now when it comes to terracotta. I picked up about 1.5 shulker boxes worth of the stuff. Unfortunately, no yellow, but I have been crafting some of the yellow up using dye here. And the way I've been getting the dye is by using this game mechanic. So this to me almost seems like an exploit, but if you right click any 2-tool flower in the game with bone meal, it'll just give you another flower. So I can just sit here, spamming right click, and you can see that the flowers are just spawning in. I'm collecting them, and then we can convert these into 2 dye each, which makes for a very easy dye collection. And then using that dye, if we combine that with regular terracotta, we get the good yellow stuff, which is what we're after. And then you can see that I've began working away here. So this is going to be a very simple design to start out with. We're just going to begin by filling in the walls with the yellow terracotta. And I've got to be very careful, because with that haste 2, you hold down left click for too long, you are going to be destroying blocks that you never meant to destroy. So let's be nice and precise. There we go. And then it's as simple as just running back through with the yellow terracotta, filling in the walls, and I'm just going to make sure that we do this the entire way around. And then I'm also thinking that since Minecraft has a lot of options when it comes to colored blocks, that is, not collared, colored blocks, we might be able to throw in some other yellow type blocks. So I'm thinking maybe some concrete powder, some concrete, potentially some wool, if we can find a good way to harvest some, just to give the wool some texture, because I'm not exactly sure if this flat yellow color is going to do us well. But we will see. We'll take a look at how things are turning out, and then we'll make our decision. Nice. So the yellow rim is complete, and you'll also notice that I've dug down 1 extra block, and that is because the flooring in here needs to be replaced with grass blocks. So there's 2 reasons for this. Firstly, bees generally live in grassy areas, right? So we're gonna try and make their habitat as natural as possible. And secondly, flowers can grow on grass, and that is exactly what the bees require in order to produce honey, I believe, anyway. It seemed that way in the last video when I did the experimentations. But something I want to bring up quickly as well is that in real life, guys, you've got to be nice to the bees, okay? I see a lot of people that get very scared of bees, or they swing at bees with their arms when they're in the vicinity. You don't need to do that. They're very, very calm creatures, and they will only attack if you do upset them. And once they've stung you, that's the end of the bee's life. And bees are very, very important to this world, okay? So let's take a serious moment to just respect bees, because without the bees, there will be no us, because bees are the pollinators of plants, which means that we can grow crops and survive. So make sure you're looking out for the bees, okay? Don't be causing them harm. They're calm, they're friendly. If they're flying around you, just be still. Just stay still. They will leave you alone, okay? Let's look after the bees. And just so that you guys are fully aware of the importance of these buzzy little guys, I've got a couple facts for you that I thought were quite interesting. So first of all, bees are directly responsible for 1 in every 3 bites of food that you'll take in your life. That means without bees, 1/3 of all food globally is gone. They are responsible for producing it. And secondly, in the United States alone, every year, bees contribute to $20 to $30 billion worth of agriculture through their pollination. So next time one is buzzing around your head, maybe annoying you a little bit, just take care of him, right? Don't swat him, just let him be, because they are very, very important creatures. Okay then guys, with some of the design in place, let's run through the system itself. So I've been doing a lot of experimentation on a creative world, and I actually figured out a much more efficient way to wire this. And it also, well, I was also trying to figure out how to tile this this design, but I'm not entirely sure it's going to work, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So for the time being, we'll just pretend that these blocks here in front of the dispensers are the hives, because I don't really have any that I want to place down at the moment, just in case they have bees. So then we have one like this and one like that with 2 redstone. Now, this is the simple design I figured out. This actually works, so you can hear the dispenser go off when I break the block and place it down. So this is very, very simple compared to what we have. But unfortunately, it's untileable, because if we do this and place down 2 next to each other, then breaking one will actually trigger all of the dispensers, which isn't ideal, because then glass bottles will just be flying everywhere, and that's not entirely what we want to be doing. So the other design idea I came up with was something like this. So you would have a repeater right here, and that would go into a block. So we'll actually kind of just build this and then break out the blocks that we do not require. Let me just get down some torches, because it is getting dark and I want to continue this clip. There we go. That should work. And then at the back here, you'll want another piece of redstone and then another repeater facing into the block. So this will function and fire only the dispenser underneath the block that you're breaking, or sorry, behind the block that you're breaking. So now this one will trigger that dispenser, the middle one will trigger the middle dispenser, so on and so forth. So they activate independently. And then you can actually go ahead and just retile the first design right here, and it works, as I say, independently. But the problem with this is I need a way to filter items into the dispensers, because we need to have an automatic glass bottle delivery system, I guess I'm going to call it. And unfortunately, this design here doesn't allow for it, because what I was going to do is have hoppers that run across the back here, and then a cart that just travels over the top of the hoppers and just places glass bottles in. So unfortunately, this isn't going to work out. I'll have a little bit more of a think about it and see if I can figure something out. But if not, what we'll do is we'll just break out the middle piece and just have one, and then a gap, another one, a gap, another one, because either way, I think it'll work. And this doesn't have to be super efficient, but if we can save space by tiling it, then that's always better. Now, I think this is looking pretty great. I don't know what you guys think, but that little bit of concrete powder and concrete around the bottom, the couple rings that we've got going on, I think definitely adds to the design, ever so slightly, but maintains that color palette, which is good. So next up, we need to put some glass over this thing to prevent the bees from escaping. Fortunately, I've got a bunch already smelted up, but I think I want to go with orange for the color. So that means, again, let's just spam some of these plants so that we can make the dye. Because if you combine red and orange together, you do in fact get, sorry, red and yellow, you get orange. That's what I meant to say. So let's combine those two to give us some orange dye. And then we can use this orange dye to color the glass. So it's going to be mainly orange glass. And the reason why I say that is because I might throw in a couple of other colors, or maybe just some yellow, if things are looking a bit too bland. I don't exactly know how I'm going to throw in the yellow. I guess we'll see once we get to that point. But first of all, let me cover this place in glass, and we'll take a look at how things stand once that has happened. All right, guys, check it out. Check it out. What do you think? So I'm going to stick with entirely orange glass, I think. And then on the outside, I've actually raised it by a block and put down some yellow carpet. I think that's a good look. And then from afar, it actually looks quite vibrant, which I like. So let's take the aerial view for a second. And you can see we've got that vibrancy from the carpets, and you can also see inside of the hexagon, which is exactly what we were going for. So I think this will be perfect. But if you Google a picture of honeycomb in real life, I think personally anyway that the connection between the hexagons looks more white than yellow. So I'm going to try and incorporate some diorite into this build. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea or not, because diorite is sometimes difficult to incorporate into builds just because of its... you know, to be blunt, it's quite an ugly block, isn't it? It's not exactly the best looking thing. So I'm actually going to go with, now, how is this going to work? So 1, 2, 3. We just want to have a 3 wide gap, I guess, between all of the blocks. And then this will outline also where we're going to build the next hexagon. So if we take this all the way through like so, something like that should be good. And then 1, 2, 3, we can start, whoops, not there. We need to start right here. And this will take us over the top side of the hexagon. Okay, something like that, but this will extend, of course, around the entire build. And then on the inside of the path, I've got a few blocks I want to test out. So first of all, we've got some concrete. we've got some concrete powder and some white terracotta. I'm going to see what these look like. Maybe if we were just to like scatter them as randomly as possible in the path here. I did make one slight change to the path design, and I'll get to that in just a second, but I've laid down a secondary hexagon just so that you guys can begin to see how these are going to link up. So for every hexagon that produces honeycombs, we'll also have a hexagon that produces the honey bottles. We kind of want to produce both in a similar quantity. So eventually we'll just keep building these up and up and up until we've got a bunch of them in the area, and it will all form one giant farm, and then there will be a central location that we can send the carts out to either restock the dispensers or collect from the dispenser. So either way, we'll have a system for both. But let's go take a closer look at what we've got going on in the path. Now, strangely, white terracotta in this game isn't actually white. I'd probably call it more of a pink tone. Let's see if we can find some so I can demonstrate what I mean by that if you guys haven't seen it before. Okay, let's grab the white terracotta. You can already see in my hand and in the inventory, it's a different shade, right? So if you place it down, doesn't really fit the theme all that well. So what I've gone with instead is the unpolished diorite. It's going to mix in with the concrete powder and the concrete, and I think it looks pretty good. We've also began sprouting off a path this way because, again, I just want to demonstrate to you guys how everything's going to connect up, but obviously no further work has been done because we still have work to do right here. So we've still got to get the mechanism in place for the bees and the rail system, so I'm going to go ahead and get to work on that, and then let's try and figure out actually getting some bees in here so we can get this thing running, because I'm hoping to at least somewhat test it before the end of the episode. So yeah, let's get right to it, I guess. So guys, a lot has changed. I've done a lot of work off camera here, and I'm running into some difficulties actually. I'm figuring things out as I go though, so hopefully we will be able to bypass these difficulties. First thing I've got going on here is the distribution system for the shears. So this one right here is going to produce honeycomb for the time being, just because we need a bunch of it at the moment to create the hives. And I've actually just realized that we'd be much better off using a chest minecart for this, just because if we use the hopper minecart, it can only hold 5 shears, whereas with the chest it can hold 27, which should restock the entire system down here. Now I've got some hives in the middle as well, but I'm not entirely sure whether they will remain because it's very difficult to figure out how to stock them and collect the goods from them just because of their position. So we'll think about that further down the line, but I think the most important thing to do right now is to add some powered rails, since this cart does need to make its way around the entire system. So I was thinking that maybe we just convert whatever we can into powered rails. So in this case, we'd have something like this where we power the block. So it'll be the stone brick. And then again, we'll do the same here. So redstone torch, stone brick. And underneath each of these blocks, we will have a redstone torch to power the rail. Actually, you know what? I don't think we need that, do we? I think we only need one right at the bottom. I think that's the way these rails work. So let's not waste resources. Let's go ahead and replace this and that and that. We should be able to chain them together, I think. There we go. Okay, so that'll give us our first little boost that we need to get around the track. And then it's basically one big loop. So from here, again, we might... You know what? Let's see where the cart ends up. Let's send it around once and see if it makes its way back, because it should do a loop. All right, off it goes, and then we can probably get a look on the inside here. Oh, no, it got stuck, right? Yep, okay. First issue. First issue. Let's break this block then, I guess, and see if that works at all. All right, second try. Let's go. Come on, cart. Let's do this. All right, it worked. Let's see where it's at. Okay, so it's on the far side. Still looks like it's got some decent momentum. Slowing down slightly now. Okay, I'm thinking it might actually almost make it. All right. It definitely isn't gonna make it. So let's see what we can do here about getting something. Oh my god, I can't get into crawl mode. I need to put that block back. All right, there. Oh no, I'm glitched. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's maybe get a few more powered rails in here. And again, we only need the one torch, so let's make our torch be right here. Break this out, and then we can go ahead and replace the bricks. And oh man, I can't get out again. It's so tough working in this little space. All right, there we go. We have to break that one, go under, and then again we can place back our rails. So we'll have a regular rail, then 3 powered, like so. Let's get our cart back, and let's see if this is enough momentum. Now, of course, we don't want the cart to just make it. We actually do want it to maintain some sort of consistent speed around the track, otherwise it might distribute unevenly. But let's see how far we get with this one. Okay, so far so good. It's definitely got a lot more speed this time. But it still isn't going to make it, is it? Maybe it didn't have more speed? I have no idea. It looked kind of... Oh, okay, maybe it did. All right, it did. Let's say it did because it made it all the way out. But still very, very slow and inconsistent in certain parts. So I'm thinking that we add some powered rails into the corners underneath there. If you look to the corners of the module, you'll notice I have now added in the rails. So I guess the only one true way to test this would be to fill the cart up with shears and then push it along and see if it distributes evenly or not. Now, I'm not entirely sure if we put too many of these powered rails or not, but we'll soon find out. Oh, nice, Hocus, nice. We actually need to get rid of that guy first, but it should carry on. It's moving relatively quickly. Looks good, looks good, looks at good speed to me. All right, and it's all the way through, back up and out, and let's take a look and figure out whether or not this is okay. So actually, the way I've been getting in and out of here is this trapdoor in the middle. So we'll use that and then close it up so they can't escape. And then we should have at least a single pair of shears in each dispenser. Looks good so far. I mean, there should be one that has 2 in actually because I've already placed some in. We're not going to check each and every one of them. This one right here, nope. Okay, this one is the one with 2. But as you can see, it distributed evenly enough. And I also just picked up some honeycomb. Like this one right here is working at the moment. But there is another issue, and you guys saw that happen right away. So when the bees leave the hives, I think that is also cause for the observer to detect change in the hive, and that triggers the system. So for that reason, I'm actually now thinking that the bottles of honey won't work very well with this setup. So I'm considering making a slight change and using this middle one, or these middle 5 on both sides. So there's 10 in the middle in total. I'm thinking of using the middle 10 to create a sort of manual farm for the honey. So instead of having the automatic detection, we'll remove that and we'll have a button that triggers the dispensers instead so that we can manually check when the hives are filled. And then that way we won't be wasting any bottles, because with the current setup, I think the bees entering and exiting the hives will actually cause the bottles to just disperse into the room. And, you know, we don't particularly want that to happen if they're empty, because that will make a huge mess and it'll be a waste of bottles. So I'll think about what we're going to do in that regard. But there have been a few problems that we faced. But I think in terms of the honeycomb, we should be okay. All right, guys, I think we are, in fact, going to call it there for episode 27. I've ran into a few problems, so I've got a little bit of thinking to do before we get back to work on this farm. But we will revisit it in the coming episodes. Don't you worry about that, guys, because as I say, this is going to be, or it was supposed to be, one of our first mega projects in the world. But with the issues that we're running into, I don't know if that fact will remain. But we will see what we can do, because I do want this honey farm to function, and it should function, you know? It's not... It isn't broken. It does work. There are just things that we need to change. So we'll get around to that in coming episodes, as I say. But before we finish up here, let me just thank you guys for tuning in once again today. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to... Wait, what is that guy doing down there? Oh dear. He's asleep or something. I don't know. But as I say, if you're enjoying today's episode or you have enjoyed it, then please be sure to drop a like down below. That would be much appreciated. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or feedback in regards to this episode, please ensure that you drop those down in the comment section down below. And of course, once again, if you're new here, then first of all, welcome. My name is Hocus. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, then consider subscribing. That will allow you to stay up to date to this series and any other videos that we decide to post. Once again, you guys, thank you very much for coming along to the video today. Take care, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.